All right, today we're tackling something more precious than oil, something that's fast becoming a flashpoint for conflict all over the globe. We're talking about water.
That might sound like something out of a movie, but it's not. It's a real warning from experts who are watching the very essence of life become a source of tension. And believe me, this crisis isn't some far-off future thing. It's already happening.
And we're not talking about a small problem here. This number, this is how many people, right now, are affected by water scarcity. Think about that, 2 billion lives. That's a staggering number, and it's a problem that touches every single continent.
So here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll get a handle on just how big this problem is, a world running dry. Then, we'll look at the new battlegrounds it's creating. After that, we'll shift to the solutions, because there is hope. And finally, we'll talk about the big choice this leaves all of us.
All right, let's dive into our first section. We really have to get our heads around the sheer scale of this problem. In so many ways, our world is literally running dry.
Think about it. Every great civilization in history popped up near water, right? Rivers, lakes, it's the foundation of, well, everything. But today, that very foundation is starting to crack. We're seeing it in dried up riverbeds and lakes that are just shrinking away.
And this isn't happening everywhere in the same way. There are some serious hotspots flaring up. You've got sub-Saharan Africa, where droughts are getting worse and worse, the Middle East, which is one of the most water-stressed places on the planet, India with its massive population, and, yep, even in places like California, where you see those iconic images of parched farmland.
Okay, so what do we even mean by water scarcity? It's actually pretty simple. It's when the demand for water just completely outstrips the supply. And this isn't just bad luck. It's being pushed by three massive forces: more and more people, huge industrial growth, and the big one, a climate that's changing the rules on us, messing with the rainfall patterns our entire world was built on.
So this isn't just about not having enough water to drink. This growing scarcity, it's actually creating new kinds of battlegrounds. It's turning something we all need into something we fight over.
Yeah, this has gone way beyond just local shortages. The moment a river crosses a border, water suddenly becomes this high-stakes geopolitical game. Countries are now looking at water access as a national security issue, and that's creating front lines that are just as tense as any physical border.
You can actually see this new map of conflict forming along the world's great rivers. I mean, look at the Nile. Ethiopia is building a massive dam for its future, but for Egypt downstream, that feels like someone's got their hand on the tap to their entire country. Then there's the Indus, a constant point of tension between India and Pakistan, two nuclear powers. And right here in North America, the Colorado River has states and even the US and Mexico fighting over every last drop.
But let's pull back from the high-level politics for a second. Because for billions of people, this has absolutely nothing to do with treaties or diplomacy. It's about survival. Plain and simple. This battle is being fought every single day, not in fancy boardrooms, but in villages and crowded city slums.
And these are the real human front lines. You have farmers who are being forced to abandon land their families have worked for generations. You have people in cities who have to buy water from actual mafias at insane prices. You have kids in Kenya walking 6 miles a day just to get murky water. And you have indigenous groups fighting tooth and nail to stop corporations from privatizing their water. This is the real heartbreaking cost.
And this all leads to an even darker question. What happens when a lack of water isn't just an accident of nature or overuse? What happens when it's done on purpose, when thirst itself becomes a weapon?
And that's not just a hypothetical, it's a grim reality. In Syria, we've seen armies literally turn off the water to besieged cities to force them to surrender. In parts of Latin America, cartels take control of water sources to control entire communities. In these places, water isn't just a resource, it's a tool of control, of oppression.
Okay, I know this is a really bleak picture, but it is not the end of the story. In the middle of all this conflict and despair, a different path is starting to open up, a path from scarcity to actual solutions. Because here's the thing, even when things look this bad, human ingenuity, our ability to cooperate, it always finds a way. And that's creating real, tangible hope.
So what do these pathways to a better future look like? Well, it's a whole mix of things. You've got amazing tech like desalination, which basically turns ocean water into drinking water. Then there's just being smarter, using AI to make farming way more efficient so we're not wasting tons of water. But it's not all high tech. People are reviving ancient techniques like rainwater harvesting, which is a total game changer for rural communities. And on a global scale, people are pushing for a big idea, a kind of water security treaty to make sure we manage all this peacefully.
And that brings us to our final part. It's about a choice for all of humanity. Because all this tech, all these potential treaties, they all boil down to one fundamental question. What do we believe water is?
When you really think about it, there are two roads in front of us. On one road, water is just another commodity, something to be bought and sold. That path leads to more conflicts, more inequality, and more oppression. But on the other road, water is a shared right for every human being. And that path leads to cooperation, incredible innovation, and, well, our survival.
So when experts look into the crystal ball, they see three possible futures. One is pretty dark, widespread conflict over water. Another is more hopeful, an era of cooperation where we work together. And a third is a future where technology just transforms the whole problem, maybe even making scarcity a thing of the past. The key thing is, none of these are set in stone.
And that brings us right back to where we started, with that chilling quote. It's just a powerful reminder of what's at stake here. The biggest fights of our time might not be about land or ideology. They might be about the most elemental thing there is, water.
So here's where we land. It really all comes down to this. The science is clear. The battle lines are being drawn, but the solutions, they're right there, within our reach. So what's it going to be? Conflict or cooperation? The choice is ours.